Will join us momentarily. Everybody all set?
All set.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Due to the COVID-19 health emergency and in order for the Board of Education to conduct its business, this meeting is being held via video conference and streamed live on YouTube on the district website at www.ebnet.org. In addition, members of the public may provide comment at this meeting through Zoom by entering the URL, meeting ID, and password you see before you on the screen. Upon joining the meeting, your participation will be muted to ensure there is no disruption to the business being conducted by the Board of Education. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo.
Here.
Mrs. Chu.
Here.
Mr. Sismar.
Here.
Mrs. Guas.
Here.
Mr. Hong.
Here.
Mrs. Lax.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mr. Winston.
Here.
President Becker.
Here, we have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic
For which
which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted at the Board of Education offices. Written notice is also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions or videotape-related broadcast, individuals who speak at the board's public meeting should be aware of these videotaping rules. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. First thing on our agenda tonight are annual actions. Bernie, did you want to speak for a brief minute about what we're about to do?
Certainly. So the annual actions are actions that are taken in preparation for the new fiscal year. They're more or less standards to establish the benchmarks by which we will function over the next year. It establishes certain fee structures, meeting schedules, a variety of cooperative purchasing agreements and services that are required for district operations.
Thank you. Before I ask for a motion on the annual actions tonight, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 26 on the annual actions agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Mark Carangelo. Is there any discussion? And this is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo.
Yes.
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sismar.
Yes.
Mrs. Guas.
Yes.
Mr. Hong.
Yes.
Mrs. Lax.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
And President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Becker. Good evening, everyone. After the board's approval of our recent grade restructuring recommendation to provide critically needed elementary classroom capacity, we've already begun planning smaller group discussions with students, parents, and staff beginning next school year. As we continue to explore over the next school year every opportunity to improve the excellence and experience of every child impacted by the first year of this transition in September of 2022, you, the community, can expect the same transparency with my communication you have witnessed over the past year. We are pleased to announce that Andrew Chen and Benjamin Hong have each been awarded a National Merit $2,500 scholarship. We are very proud of these students. This fall, Andrew will be attending Stanford and Benjamin will be attending Columbia University. Again, congratulations to both of them. I'd like to take a moment to highlight some additional excellence from some more of the members of the EB team, as I've done in the past. And this week, we administered the AP Spanish exam. And due to an issue nationwide with the College Board, the exams took longer than usual to upload. I want to thank the technology department as well as the high school counseling department and administrators who worked together to assist our students and immediately adapt to circumstances that could have forced students to retake the exam if the uploads failed. And beyond solving the initial problem, this group demonstrated their student-first commitment. So because of the unanticipated extended time of the exam, students were provided with bag lunches. To this group, thank you for what you do every day. The EBHS Visual Arts Department, in partnership with EBEF, presents the East Brunswick Schools Outdoor Art Walk from Saturday, May 15th to Tuesday, June 15th. The Art Walk is a month-long installation of 180 pieces of student artwork displayed along the pathways between the public library and municipal complex. The art pieces are representative of all 11 buildings and 24 visual art teachers. And I am looking forward to that because I've seen some of the artwork from the students, so it's going to be great. Just a few reminders. Friday, May 28th is a single session day for students and staff. There will be no supplemental instruction. The district will be closed Monday, May 31st for Memorial Day. And believe it or not, the last day of school for students and staff is Friday, June 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky. First item tonight is a resolution of appreciation for the East Brunswick Education Foundation. I'm going to ask Liwu to announce and speak on this resolution as he is the board liaison to the foundation.
So recommendations. Whereas since its inception in 1993, the East Brunswick Education Foundation has funded 1,500 grants, totally over $2.5 million in funding for technology equipment, curricular program, authors visits, school-wide cross-curricular learning events, hands-on materials, many books, and much more to complement teaching and learning throughout the district. And whereas from July 2020 to April 2021, the East Brunswick Education Foundation has awarded 35 grants amounting to $55,000 to ensure that the organization's mission to enhance and enrich the curriculum for the students attending the East Brunswick Public Schools continues. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education appreciates the foundation's trustees for their generous and inexhaustible support for excellence in education, and further, therefore, be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education recognize and applauds the teachers and staff going above and beyond in support of and to advocate for quality public education in East Brunswick.
Thank you, Liwu. May I please have a motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Liwu, second by Barbara. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Congratulations to the foundation. There's nothing I could add that hasn't already been said in that beautiful resolution that Liwu so very nicely articulated. They go above and beyond, and in partnership with our staff and teachers who are always thinking about what's the next best thing we can do for our kids. They bring so much to the district. It is truly a partnership, and we are so grateful for it. That brings us to the good of the cause for the public. Members of the public may provide comment at this meeting through Zoom by entering the URL, meeting ID, and password you see before you on the screen. In order to be recognized, use the chat feature, select the Zoom meeting host, then enter and send your name to the host. You will be recognized to speak when your name is called. Individuals will be invited to speak in the order in which we have received your request, and participants are limited to 3 minutes duration. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the board tonight?
Mrs. Becker, there is no one in the queue at this time.
Okay, seeing none, I close the public portion. Moving on to our agenda tonight. Before I ask for a motion on the Board of Education items, is there anything anyone would like separated out?
I just, I was absent last time, so I forget, what I just abstain or for the minutes of the first one?
Yes.
You can abstain on the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else anyone would like separated out? Okay, then can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Susanna,
Second, Jeff.
second by Jeff. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guak,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes, I'm back. I got booted out.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes, abstaining on number 1.
noted. Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Before I ask for consent on the community program agenda, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 4 on the community programs agenda?
So moved, Jeff.
Moved by Jeff, second by Lori. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Moving on to our curriculum and instruction agenda, there is only one item tonight. Can I please have a motion for item number 1?
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second, Jeff.
second by Mark Carangelo. Is there any discussion? Susanna?
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a question on that one. It's great. It looks like this is something different. I don't recall seeing this previously on the agenda. So if it's new, I'm just wondering, is it new? And it indicates that it runs from 3 to 4. It's a 1-hour session. So I'm wondering, which students will be participating in this. So I just wanted to know a little bit more about it because it sounded fascinating.
Yeah, Dr. Boley, can you?
Certainly. It is a new opportunity. It's going to be available after school for students in the choral program in grades 6 through 12. So Hammarskjold, Churchill, and the high school students. So far, over 200 students have RSVP'd expressing interest. The session will be recorded and used in the class period for those students unable to attend. And, during the school day, they mostly focus on classical voice instruction, preparing for concerts. So this artist is going to give them an opportunity to experiment with more pop and commercial singing. So we think it's going to be a very exciting opportunity.
It sounds great. Thank you. I appreciate that info.
I think it's absolutely tremendous. It's taking our arts program in another direction. It's keying into what the students are interested in. Good work, you and your team, Joyce.
Thank you.
And it's very cheap too. If we have 200 students for $700, which is extremely cheap.
Price of 2 Broadway tickets? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. There are 6 items on our financial services agenda tonight. I would like to ask for a motion for items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Liwu. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Sorry, I had a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Susanna.
Sorry, I was just slow because I'm scrolling. I think item 4 is the one that's the declaration of surplus vehicles, right?
Correct.
So I just had a question about that. I mean, I'm just curious. It's, you know, the water services cost, I mean, you know, as opposed to, you know, normally we would put the surplus vehicles out for, what do you call it? Like auction. You know, they don't quite offset each other. And at the end of the day, you know, tax, it's kind of, you know,
Mhm.
rules to the tax, they don't net each other out. So I'm trying to understand kind of the rationale for using this approach as opposed to, you know, paying the bill and just doing these as separate transactions.
If I could, I'd like Mr. Giuliano to weigh in, but I want to give you the backstory. So it was actually a conversation with the township, and they had seen that we had some vehicles in the yard that we were getting ready to prep for auction, and they had an interest in it. So this is really just a cooperative gesture on our part with the township. Rather than do the transaction, they have the mechanics to do the work on the vehicles. So it was really just more of an outreach and discussion between each of us that we had something they would like to have, rather than go through the other cycle that you had mentioned for us to sell them and for you know, us to pay the water bill. So that's really how the transaction started. And then I cleared it with Mr. Giuliano, and you know, he did another cost analysis of the vehicle's cost. The township did one, we did another. But the variation we don't believe is significant enough to not recommend it.
And I would just add that, you know, we, you know, as two governing bodies in town, you know, we try to do as much as we can to work together. And I think this is, you know, an appropriate step in that endeavor. We have something that they need. We provide, we utilize services in exchange for other uses of our facilities. So it's, you know, for lack of a better term, it's a quid pro quo. And I think everybody benefits from the transaction.
There's actually a law right in the public bidding law. You don't have to go out to bid if you're working cooperatively with another governmental entity. It's encouraged actually in the bidding law to do just this, so that you don't have, that you get the most use out of taxpayer funds on vehicles that they purchase. And this is going, you know, intra East Brunswick from one public entity to another East Brunswick public entity. And ultimately it was the taxpayers who paid for these vehicles.
Jeff, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, simply, I think I think this is so creative. Is this the first time we've done something like this?
Actually, it's not. We had another instance, I'm going to say maybe about 2 years or 3 years ago, with another vehicle exchange that took place.
Oh, that's right, we did.
So,
I think it's
So-
great. I think it's creative, and I think it's terrific that it stays home. All of it. If they can use them, I think it's great. So well done.
Yeah, because it would seem like somebody, you know, the cut from the auction house and everybody else is being saved in between by doing the transfer this way.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I think it's the first time I've seen this, but maybe it's happened before. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Colangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Wax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to item 5, fiscal year 2022 school district final budget approval. May I please have a motion on this item?
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Liwu. Is there any discussion? Jeff, then Mark Colangelo?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all involved who put the budget together. As chair of the finance, I had first row seats to how this operates for the first time. And I will have to say it's mind-blowing how all of the parts came together. Mr. Giuliano, well done. Mr. Croshaw, well done. The entire finance team. And really honing down to the the individual department budget heads who presented. I got feedback from the board. It was so comprehensive, and I do applaud the ability and what they provide to our children in that budget. We run pretty tight in this district, and to see how the money is being spent, absolutely benefit to staff and teachers. And I love that that was really kept in mind. So well done, and thank you. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be on this committee with you folks.
Thank you, Jeff. Mark Carangelo, I think you had your hand up, and if somebody else said I missed you.
I
Mark?
was scratching my arm.
Okay, that was an arm scratch. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. I want to echo what Jeff said. Truly a district-wide collaborative effort led by Bernie and Joe and their whole team, Dr. Valesky, Joyce, everyone. Every department chimed in. It was a fantastic effort, and the dedication of our finance department, I don't know if people realize. Bernie, when are you going to start working on fiscal year 23's budget? Tomorrow?
Very soon. That actually will start this summer.
Yeah.
We'll start getting administrators involved come September.
I in a way did literally mean tomorrow, because I know there are years where Bernie and his team just roll up their sleeves, and the minute one budget is approved, they start working on the next one. This board also had a tremendous amount of input and put in so much time in coming up with this budget, and everyone deserves to be congratulated and appreciated for their efforts. So, will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to item 6, can I please have a motion for shared services agreement between the Township of East Brunswick and the Board of Education of the Township of East Brunswick?
So
moved.
moved, Jeff.
Moved by Jeff, second by Lori. Is there any discussion? I actually had a question, or just wanted to highlight something. Bernie, in the description for this budget, for this agenda item, the phrase resulted in substantial interest cost savings to East Brunswick taxpayers just jumped out at me. It's something we all love to see. Would you mind fleshing that out for a minute, please, and talking about these substantial savings for our taxpayers?
Certainly. So through in exercising this opportunity to finance through the township's ability to acquire short-term debt. Now, one thing I want to make clear is that it is not the Township of East Brunswick that is paying for the debt. It is through the school district budget, but they're acting as our agent, if you will, to sell the notes to provide the financing. But because of the township's ability to do this, the short-term notes result in extremely low finance rates. Think in the 1% range. And whereas if we were to be able to go out to bond on our own, it would be at least a couple of percentage points higher than that. So there's a substantial savings that we achieve as a result of this. And we've done this for years. The township has been very cooperative in assisting us. They recognize the value to the taxpayers in doing this kind of a transaction. And it's really just a win-win all around.
So it's kind of like if you had a credit card that charged 10% interest and I had a credit card that charged 5% interest, and you wanted to buy something really expensive and you asked me if you could put it on my card to take advantage of my lesser interest rate, but you're going to make all the payments, correct?
Yes, that's a great analogy.
And actually that was explained to me when I first got on the board, that was a way of someone explaining to me about what shared services agreements are. And I always thought it was a really good way to understand it. So as you said, win-win all around. As Jeff has said before, keeping it in the town, saving the taxpayers money, that's what it's about. Is there any other discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Before I ask for a motion on the human resource agenda items tonight, is there anything anyone would like separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Mark II. Is there any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. We have one item on our staff development agenda tonight. Can I please have a motion for item number 1?
So moved.
Moved by Lori,
Second.
second by Li Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. On our student services agenda, we also have one item. Can I please have a motion for item number, no, I'm so sorry.
No.
Staff development, so sorry. My iPad went too fast. We have one item on our staff development agenda tonight. Can I please have a motion for that item?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Jeff. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. On our student services agenda, we have two items tonight. Can I please have a motion for, before I ask for a motion, would anyone like either separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 and 2?
So
So
moved.
Moved by Li Wu, second by Mark II. Is there any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo,
Yes.
Mrs. Chu,
Yes.
Mr. Sismar,
Yes.
Mrs. Guas,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lax,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. Winston,
Yes.
and President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. I was told that our student rep is not with us tonight. I just want to confirm that. Lou, are you at the meeting tonight?
He is not here, Mrs.
No.
Becker.
Okay.
And neither is the student.
Right.
Okay. Committee reports, information items, and the good of the cause for the board. I actually had something to follow up with Dr. Valesky about from last meeting when we were having a discussion about how to help make the transition better for our students, staff, and parents with a grade reconfiguration we voted on. I had asked you if, I know that for years there had been something in place like a Hammarskjöld Pen Pal program. And I'd asked you, I was just curious, were you able to find out, is it something we still do?
We do not do it currently. However, I know there's been discussion. I spoke to a parent this afternoon who suggested maybe a Zoom format for the students to engage with one another. She called specifically about her daughter. And, that kind of technology we use very well. So that is certainly a very viable opportunity to explore introducing students to Hammarskjöld. And we obviously want students to be in Hammarskjöld. We want them to physically be able to visit the building and to get into the building before they actually attend there. And I think with the progress we're making on the recovery from the pandemic, I anticipate that is going to be very achievable.
Okay, thank you.
So Dr. Flasky, I have a question for you. I remember there is an introductory video about Hammarskjöld Is that video still available online so the parents can access it?
Yes, the students actually produced their own video. So I'll have to talk to Dr. Gaskell about the last production. But I don't know if the board recalls, many of the board members were shown a student-produced video that was pretty candid. It talked about the transition. It talked about how the students' parents were very anxious about them going to Hammersholt. And one of the students said, it really wasn't that big a deal. My parents were worried, but I wasn't. So that's kind of the theme of, our students are resilient. And I know that they're going to do well. And we're going to make this transition not only as we recover from the pandemic and begin to reintroduce students back to full days of instruction with lunch in September. But for the next year, the transition, we are pledging to make it the best we can absolutely make it. And I do sincerely believe we have opportunities to explore things that we've never looked at before. And we have an opportunity to make that experience for every student better than it was before. So I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Speaking of videos, years and years ago, when we decided to put in a whole new report card in the district, which dramatically changed the report card system, we produced a video in-house. It was a parent having a talk with a principal. It affected the elementary school report cards. And it was kind of a Q&A between the parent and the principal. And they were asking questions that other parents had written to the superintendent about or called the superintendent about. So it was kind of a Q&A sit down between the principal and the parent, addressing a lot of the issues. We might want to do something like that with several of the principals, the elementary school principals, Principal Hammersholt, Churchill, and have parents, instead of writing in or pulling, just parents, coming on and asking their real questions and having a dialogue about it and showing it to other parents. And so many have the same questions. It might be interesting and helpful video seems to be a good way to have a lot of people access our information.
We'll explore that with John McMenamin. And, John is a very, very talented video production, video visionist. He's the guy behind the scenes in so many of the technical productions, including these meetings tonight. So I think we can come up with some creative formats to communicate and to introduce students to new environments.
And the parents too.
Mm-hmm.
And give the staff also a chance to talk to parents. And anything we do is certainly to improve the communication and distribution of information is going to be great.
You're
Okay.
very right about the Hammersholt, because I remember sitting through it with my first one. And I was the same way. And all the parents, I think we were more afraid than the kids. I think that's very common. The kids went in there and said, oh, yeah, this is easy. I look at that building and I still have to think of how to get around it. And these kids, within a few days, they know exactly where to go, how to get to classes. So I think that video from kids for kids was great for the kids, but was also great for the parents. So I agree with you. It's great. Good call, Lee. Well, you'll like that for your boys.
Oh, yes.
Anyone else? Committee reports, information items, good of the cause for the board? Okay, Mark 2, that was an arm scratch? Okay, we'll say it was. Seeing none, we do have a need for a closed session. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and whereas those subjects the Board of Education intends to discuss are those matters listed in tonight's agenda. The length of the closed session is calculated to be 1 hour, after which a public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action will not be taken. May I please have a motion to go into closed session? Moved by Jeff, second by Lori. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? I'm just completely blanked out. In favor of saying object? Okay, Motion carried. We're in closed session. Thank you for joining us tonight. Board members, please leave this meeting and log into the closed session. Everyone, please stay safe.